Hi again and welcome back for another video. This is about regulators, So US Fed is considering including BTC market crash as salient risk for stress tests. Now, there is a commissioner that recommended the board consider extraordinary shocks such as a war with North Korea, the collapse of Bitcoin market, or major losses caused by trader misconduct in its scenarios. And together, the Dodd-Frank Act supervisory stress tests are intended to provide company management and boards of directors, the public and supervisors with forward-looking information to help gauge the potential effect of stressful conditions on the ability of these large banking organizations to absorb losses while meeting obligations to creditors and other counterparties and continuing to lend. So what is stress test actually? Stress test is the simulated environment, right? In the case of a very severe economic situation like a very serious financial collapse, financial crisis, like, for example, what we have seen in 2008 or even worse, how will the banks react? Is their capital high enough, right, or large enough to absorb the losses? And this is the stress test that have to be conducted by all major large institutions, financial institutions, and in US is any financial institutions or banks with $50 billion in assets and above. Now, they normally will take into consideration like what happens if unemployment rate in the country or globally shot up to double digits, or what happens if interest rates increases into, let's say, 10%, that kind of extreme cases, or what happens if house prices increase triple digits, or what happens if stock prices plunge by 100%, that kind of extreme cases. So what happens, and they, of course, they will put ranges to see if in the case of just a mild recession what happens, but in the case of the most extreme case what will happen. And now that they are recommending or they're considering adding a war with North Korea, Bitcoin collapse, and major losses caused by trader misconduct, which in all these cases is not implausible, right? All this has a possibility to happen. Now that they want to even include this in their stress test, and this is a very major thing, because for those of you who may not know, right, who may not be familiar with the banking industry, the stress test was brought on after the 2008 financial crisis because of the severe economic collapse. Then the government have to step in to bail the banks out. That means they have to actually pump money into the banks, and it was really the banks who get all the benefits. So they want to ensure that they don't want to prevent such things from happening in the future, that they want to make sure the banks have accountability, so that they want to then do all this simulation first, right, before to see then is their capital enough. So then they must make sure the banks have more than sufficient capital as a buffer to prevent, in the case of such extreme cases of event happening, that they still can survive and depositors' money will be, not at risk. So the fact that such a major simulation is including or is considering including the collapse of Bitcoin market really ought to tell you, right, that they really see that. So why will Bitcoin affect them, right? That means they do see that Bitcoin will eventually becoming so mainstream, and also all the major institutions, we are talking about $50 billion and above, definitely very major, will have a part to play in the Bitcoin market, either directly, right, or they may have some holdings, or if not, their clients, right, or they will have some exposure one way or another. And that's why they are considering to add the scenario of a collapse of a Bitcoin market into this stress test. This is really, really significant news, right? And this just underscored that the thinking of the government, that they do think that Bitcoin will eventually one day going into mainstream. So that is very, very key. Next, Thai SEC bans 3 cryptocurrencies from ICO investment trading pairs. So Thailand, right, their SEC has issued rules last July mandating that any entity seeking to conduct a token sale must first file for an application for its approval. At the time, the SEC said that only Thailand's national currency, the baht, and 7 cryptocurrencies can be used to invest in ICOs, namely Bitcoin, Bitcoin Cash, Ether, Ethereum Classic, Litecoin XRP, and Stellar XLM. Now, in just Thursday announcement, SEC has said that it's now removed Bitcoin Cash, Ether Classic, and Litecoin from the list of eligible cryptocurrencies. They didn't exactly say the reasons, though it said it takes into account different factors such as news and other developments related to the token. So this is very, very interesting in a way that, Thailand is clearly saying that they are not endorsing Bitcoin Cash, Ethereum Classic, and Litecoin. Yeah, Bitcoin Cash I can understand, right? Is the people behind them that may raise some questions, right? And it's a fork from Bitcoin. Now, Ethereum Classic again is also similar thing. It is a fork from Ethereum. So again, that might. But Litecoin is a surprise to me, honestly. So I'm guessing, could it be that because of Litecoin recent association with privacy, right? They want to be a privacy coin as well, and the sponsorship on very direct official coin related to the boxing premier. Is that the reason why? So it's not that clean image, right? I mean, it is sports, but then still to maybe a serious government, right? Maybe it just doesn't have the professional image. Is that why? I'm not sure, but this is my guess here, right? That, but yeah, this is so. Okay, interesting to note that, right? I think important to note as well. So yeah, but though it is also encouraging on the other hand to show that they still endorse Bitcoin, Ethereum, XRP, and Stellar. Yeah. Lastly, IMF recommends immediate action on Malta's AML and CFT supervision. So IMF has specifically said that Malta Financial Services Authority has critical gaps in its supervision for anti-money laundering and combating the financing of terrorism, and is recommending urgent action. Now, I think as most of you know, right, Malta they have attracted huge sums of foreign direct investments into their country just because they are super crypto friendly. After all, Binance has its headquarters in Malta, and that actually gives Malta a lot of publicity, right? And then a lot of firms are actually then attracted to go to Malta given its openness and crypto-friendly regulations. Now, it is very interesting that, right, IMF is now coming out to say, because one of the reasons is that they are so pro-blockchain, pro-crypto, and of course, in addition to their their move to allow to give out citizenship just because you invest money, and their gaming sector, which is quite open. So because of this, they said they are encouraging any anti-money laundering and not able to combat financing of terrorism. They basically say that because too quick, the rise in the firms operating in crypto in Malta has risen too quickly, that there's not enough manpower to make sure that the AML and the anti-terrorism is monitored closely or enforced closely, right? So now that they're saying they need urgent action, I find this is really, really interesting because you have IMF actually digging their toes into independent countries or standalone or sovereign nations, right, backyard. Yeah, and yes, and I think if Malta is not so crypto friendly, perhaps they will not attract this kind of comments. Yeah, so in the crypto world, there's still a lot of people in the conventional world that doesn't want to see crypto succeed, right? So they will do anything in their power to actually delay, or just to still associate it with negative connotation, and always they come up with anti-money laundering, terrorism. The thing is, actually, if people use crypto, right, apart from the privacy coins, if they use Bitcoin, Ethereum, all that, those are very, very traceable because they're very transparent on the blockchain. Yeah, so you can't. So people who want to do money laundering shouldn't use Bitcoin, shouldn't use Ethereum, shouldn't use the main crypto apart from the privacy coins. Yeah, so, because those are really traceable. So it is funny why IMF is really pointing finger at Malta and specifically pointing out it's because of crypto. Yes, so yeah, so there you have it, the government news. So again, very, very positive news, especially the first one where US Fed is actually, it is indirectly, or in fact, I see it as quite a direct move to endorse Bitcoin going into mainstream pretty soon. Yeah, they're just preparing for that scenario. Thank you so much. Hope you enjoy. Please leave a like, subscribe, leave a comment. Thank you so much for your time, and I hope to see you tomorrow. Thank you.